I think how rapidly advancing AI is actually a good thing. Um, in general, I've been opposed to this because the idea of artificial intelligence becoming, even if it's slow, steadily more like a human is kind of existentially terrifying to me, and I do not like all of the political and social implications of these machines becoming more advanced because my general opinion is that technology already controls us more than we control it as it is. Like, we like to think of technology as this thing that is used by humans for the purpose of perpetuating systems that we have created and that we ultimately govern. But I think in reality, technology is more of an autonomous entity with its own agenda, and that agenda being uh, the self perpetuation of it and its various arms. Um, I think the very structure of the societies that we live in are such that the role of technology has extended itself throughout so many facets of our life that to live not dependent on technology is, in this society, to not live at all. Like, you kind of have to adapt to the ever corrosive influence that technology has on us, or else you simply cannot function in society. Now, of course, there is very well the option of leaving society, but it stands to reason that if you want to be with the majority of people, if you want to make a living in that world, you have to accept the role that cars, phones, um, various forms of technology have in our life. Even things like, QR codes and facial recognition technology, all kinds of things that have now, totally dominated our world today. And in that sense, we've developed a dependence on technology that is not in service to us, but instead serves to dominate us. And this is why I'm generally skeptical of technological progress. It's not so much like in innate opposition to technology itself. It's more of a freedom oriented, libertarian, kind of general anti civilization perspective. I do not like the idea of being controlled. I do not like the idea of being controlled by others, and especially not in abstract, like inanimate object, like a computer. Um, you know, I I am strongly opposed to having my destiny in any way determined by external factors, and I like to feel like whatever occurs for me is my own choosing, and so the role that technology plays in our life and our dependence on it irks me from a freedom perspective, from the perspective of an individual. But it's not like a blind opposition to it in and of itself. Like, I am definitely not a Luddite or something like that. Um, Even though I may be influenced by some of the ideas people like that put forth, um, you know, when it comes to something like GNU Linux, it's like, yes, of course, we have to limit our dependence on technology as much as possible. Yes, of course, we should be questioning the role that technology plays in our lives. Um, but if we're going to be using technology, we should always be using free software. Free as in freedom, an entirely free BIOS, all of the software on the computer free, um, you know, building it from source ourselves and taking a look at all of the inner workings, everything going on there, and tweaking it to our liking. This is why I like free software so much, because when you have direct control over the program, it's much less like it's controlling you, because you can go into the program and do whatever you want to it to make it serve your needs exactly. And so we should be questioning all of this. We should be lessening our dependence on all of this. But at the same time, I think Linux and free software more broadly is a solution to this problem of our addiction, our dependence to technology and the technological society that stems from it. With all of that being said, I, and with as much skepticism as I have of technology that I just elucidated there, I do find this whole AI thing to be good for one reason, and one reason in particular. The fact that it's going to automate a lot of fucking tech workers out of business. There is there is not, without fail, there is no group of people more obnoxious, more politically illiterate, and yet they seem to believe that they have all of the solutions to politics simply because they are tech bros. I'm talking the descendants of Peter Thiel. I'm talking, every programmer who goes on poll, or I don't know, r slash anarchy, or some shit like that. Um, like, without fail, programmers always have the worst politics of any group, and yet they seem to be so indignant about the fact that they believe that technology is going to solve everything, that they alone can fix it with technocratic and technological solutions. They have this like utopian vision of society, whether it be from a right or leftist perspective. Usually these guys are quote unquote right wing libertarians, when in reality, like, they're just fascists if you actually push them on the things that they believe. Once again, descendants of Peter Thiel. Like, these guys have the worst politics of any human beings on earth. Like, if we could take all of these guys and just push them somewhere else, like, I don't know, build like a plot of land in North Dakota or Montana or something. Take all of these guys and just put them there, and cut them off from communication with the rest of the country. I feel like the country would immediately improve. These guys are not proposing solutions. They do not have solutions, but they are so confident about the fact that they do, and so obsessed, like narcissistically obsessed with their own field as being the progenitor of every solution, that they really do believe that they are going to change and fix the world. And without fail, they are the most annoying people of like any political group. And for that reason, I want to see every shred of power this group of people has completely and utterly decimated. If it could just if it could just like fly off into thin air, um, there's a word I was looking for there that I could not find. Um, Dissipate. If it could just dissipate into thin air, the world, it would improve like that. It would be a better place tomorrow. Because these people have a lot of power. Like, I don't think people understand how much tech bros are paid and how much they actually can get paid if they just grind hard enough. With the amount of economic power they have, they can do some real damage to the world. And that's not even to mention, a lot of these tech pros are going out there and doing lectures about their proposed solutions, being interviewed by people where they propose solutions, and people who aren't tech bros, this is having a toxic influence on them. They're listening to these guys talk and then thinking, wow, this is a really successful businessman. This is a really successful programmer. He must have everything figured out when he's changing our world today in all of these massive ways. What those people who listen to these interviews or lectures fail to realize is, yes, those people are changing our world in all of these ways in their specific field. In their specific field, they're pioneering. They're good at what they do, and it's meaningful what they do. But that's their field. What these people, and this is part of why I am so perturbed by their indignance, is they're not staying in their lane. That's what they do. They don't stay in their lane. And if you're an economist, if you're a political scientist, a sociologist, or something in between, there's a lot of cross cross study in these fields, then of course you're qualified to talk about what we ought to be doing. I mean, anybody can talk about what we ought to be doing, but your average Joe or your person from another field, they're not going to be an expert on it. They're not going to know all of the solutions. I mean, even people who are experts on it don't know all the solutions. They're wrong all the time. And so the things that those people say, I mean, the things everybody says has to be taken with a grain of salt, but especially those people who are just kind of shooting from the hip and saying some things that they've thought about. Like, if you're not qualified, you're not qualified. And it's fine to have opinions, but the way that they're so indignant about their opinions, the way that they truly believe that they have it all figured out, it's just like endlessly frustrating. And now these people are being paraded around the country as the progenitors of the solutions when they wouldn't know a solution if it hit them in the head. Like, go study economics, political science, sociology, and civics and so forth, and then come back to me with your synthesis of your technological solutions with political solutions. You know, maybe then it would be worth listening to. And there are certain people who have tried to do that. I haven't been convinced by them either, but I can respect what they're doing a hell of a lot more than a lot of these tech bros. Um, you wouldn't parade a plumber or an electrician around the country for coming up with these kind of half-baked, like, weed bro, tweaker, geeked out bro solutions that specifically center around his field. Like, if a guy came out there and said, we need to make everybody electricians, and actually electricity is going to be the basis of our new political system, you would think, okay, stay in your lane, buddy. But when tech bros do that, and they apply it, even more broadly to, like, the whole world, um, no one bats an eye. And, like, the way that they're so indignant about the things that they believe, um, I think it's causing legitimate harm to the discourse. I think these people are being taken way too seriously, and I want to see them automated out of a job. I want to see every last shred of economic power that these people have stripped from them. And I think what with ChatGPT and these other programs being able to effectively do debugging, being able to effectively write programs even for things like networking and security, that's the world that we're inching closer to. And while I do have individual people that I care deeply about that are in these fields where their job security could be more at risk, I do have confidence that those individual people will find their own way in this changing economy and will ultimately be able to uh, do something that nets them an income, perhaps working on the AI or something along those lines. Um, but everybody else, oh boy, there's gonna be a massive culling of these folks, and I am all for it.